Did the government always have such an accommodative interpretation of what constituted like kind, or did this evolve over time?
Really, I've been in this business 29 years. I've always heard people say, well, it used to be more restrictive. I've, I've never seen it in the history. I've never had any 1031 expert say that that used to be more restrictive.
Okay.
So I just think it's people learning how broad it is. I bet you for a while there were no cases, and so it was vague, and so people were more
Right.
conservative. What totally changed was it was more restrictive on the format. From 1921 until 1991, the word exchange actually meant something. It actually meant you had to go exchange with somebody. So you could only do it if two people wanted each other's properties, or the most creative you could get back before 91 is if you wanted my property and the odds are 99%, you're not going to have what I want. If I decide I wanted his property, I would have to convince you to buy his property and then swap. You had to jump through all those hoops until 91, and in 91 is when they made it easier, where to me they should have used a different word, because you're not exchanging, you're just doing a retirement account rollover, but you have to have our documents that call it an exchange. That's what changed the biggest.
I did not know that at all. I
Oh,
had
good.
no understanding that you literally had to swap it
Yes.
in order to qualify. That's really, if I knew that, I had long since forgotten it. That's really interesting. To
Yeah.
what extent is the government in today's 2023, 2024 climate? You mentioned earlier that there has been some rumblings about closing loopholes for the 1% and the people sitting in their ivory towers benefiting from all of this, when in reality that's not how it
Yeah.
actually impacts people in the real world. But is there a movement right now to try to kind of close some of these, make it more restrictive?
I guess the best way I could put that is it's not right now on the front burner.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sometimes, as y'all know, it gets on the front burner.
Right.
On the other hand, I can't say, oh no, there's no movement from anybody, but it's very much on the back burner. Joe Biden had said even before he was president what he was going to do. He was proposing to limit the amount of gain you could defer each year to just 500,000, and that didn't go anywhere. Believe it or not, this sounds like something that a lot of people would think only the Democrats would do. To get the top 1% to distribute income. Believe it or not, for 2 years we had we were butting heads with Paul Ryan. So both parties actually go after it for different reasons. But the chairman of Ways and Means at the time told me to my face that they were going to take away 1031s totally, because Paul Ryan's sole focus was lowering corporate rates. And so there's this idea really among both parties, just from a practical standpoint, if you lower one rate, what do they call it? Pay for it. You got to come up with some pay for it.
Right.
So you got to get it somewhere else. So
right.
Paul Ryan, his sole focus was so much on lowering corporate rates that he almost didn't care. And I know that's overstatement, especially emotionally. He didn't want to take stuff.
Right.
But he almost was just like, he was so laser focused that okay, we got to find other things to pay for this. Every 1031 makes money for real estate brokers when they're using a broker. Title companies, probably 99% of the time. There's less than 1% of the time people are crazy enough not to use a title company. So real estate brokers, me as a 1031 attorney, title company pays the highest rates. So it's in the code to generate business for people that pay the highest rates. So it's so easy from a factual standpoint to show it's counterproductive for either a Republican or a Democrat to vote to take this away or limit it, because both parties want to show that they're good for the economy.
Education has something to do with it, just helping people understand this is what it is, this is its purpose, and this is who it helps.
Right.
We have a real estate market, and this is true in self-storage. Roughly 80% of all of the investment real estate, income-producing commercial real estate in the United States is owned by private capital. It's non-institutional in its nature.
Okay, yeah.
Mom and pop. It could
Yeah.
be mom and pops, could be group of investors. Country Club money could be a private equity company, but either way, it's classified as non-institutional in its nature. And when you think about it that way, by definition, the majority of the people that are helped, that benefit from the existence of a 1031 exchange opportunity, are the very people that do not sit in, or a large portion of them don't sit in some ivory tower. They aren't necessarily the 1%. They are the exact opposite, who have worked their way up and accomplished something and now want to be able to unlock that capital and reap the benefits of it. It's
Absolutely.
a great thing for
Absolutely.
real estate investors. And so it's important for us to help educate our clientele, because we are certainly not the experts either.